The ego is the system that runs your sense of self. It is made out of thought patterns, emotions, and behavioral loops, and the stories that try to hold it all together. Left unchecked, it creates endless existential searching, chronic disconnection, and the persistent sense that something is wrong. The goal of my videos is clarity, to see your identity and its contradictions for what they are, named precisely, to finally understand what it is that we're all running away from. The most common affliction of any truth seeker is always the affliction of hiding or suppressing your feelings. And everybody in society does this to a certain degree. But I found that people who are seeking truth and deeper spiritual understanding are very good at it, because they have gained an understanding of existence and an understanding of reality that is different from the ordinary mind. And then this intelligence actually finds new and interesting ways to completely hide from all the parts that would make oneself vulnerable. And then it's this entire vulnerability that is trying to be hidden by all this intellectualizing. And philosophers are also extremely good at this, because philosophers hide in their philosophy in order to pretend that it all comes down, that it all doesn't come down to their own feelings and personal experiences. At the end of the day, everybody is a child, and we all are tucking away this inner child that cries in the pains of the world, and then wants to pretend that we are kind of above that, and that we are kind of better off than we actually are. But it's only through genuine vulnerability that we can fully connect with another. And it's only by letting these masks drop that we can be seen for who we really are. And ironically enough, this is what the soul is actually yearning for. Everybody wants to be seen for who they really are, and not this facade that we put on top. But if we have gotten hurt, then of course it feels difficult to be vulnerable, because what if we get hurt even more? Then we need even more masks, because clearly we have chosen to be vulnerable, and it got proven to us that it is not safe to do so. And the ego kind of constructs this weird mechanism in which it grabs onto an aspect of itself that it thinks it is okay. And then this aspect of itself that is okay becomes kind of like the goal to attain, which sounds very paradoxical, but it's like you understand a part of yourself. For example, you wish that you would work more, right? Like you're procrastinating too much and you wish you could work more. And then this narrative of, oh, I need to really work more because I'm lazy and I'm not disciplined enough. Or another example is, oh, I know that I'm addicted to something and I really need to stop this addiction. Now, as odd as it might sound, your ego actually accepts the fact that you are addicted. It accepts the fact that you don't work enough. But then uses this narrative of you not doing enough or you being too addicted to keep yourself in this comfort zone, which lets you put on the mask of somebody who understands oneself, because you then can be super self-aware about it, right? Like, I understand myself. I am addicted to X. And through this self-awareness, you can pretend that you're looking underneath the mask, but you're actually not making yourself vulnerable. You're just admitting to something that you've have known for a long time. And likely other people around you have known this for a long time as well. So it actually doesn't even matter. Whatever it is that you're not letting yourself be vulnerable about is what matters. And it's not something that you likely can just act out or say, because if not, then the issue wouldn't be there. And then oftentimes this is the key, or the kind of, in Spanish, the word is raíz. Why can I not come up with the English word right now? The roots. These are the roots that are underneath the ground that connect to the other issues you're having. Like they connect to be procrastinating and not expressing yourself, or not working at what you actually want to work at. And they are connected to something completely different. They're connected to the part that is hidden by the mask. And then what it requires you to do is to actually be self-aware enough to see that your self-awareness is a mask to hide from the mask that hides from the actual root of the issue, which is the thing that you don't want to feel. And it's what the mask is actually for. It's so you can hide from that feeling. And more so, in order to hide for the feeling, you hide this feeling for other people, so that other people cannot see this vulnerability in you. So it is so that you don't have to see this vulnerability in you, and then as an extension that other people don't have to see this vulnerability in you. And it comes to the point where you don't even recognize that it is a mask at all. You have been wearing this mask for so long now, it might as well be you. And then you're wondering, who is your true self? Like, can I actually find it? Does my true self exist? Why can I not find my true self? And it's because the mask and you have kind of become one. And then what is so confusing is that if you believe in the idea that you are already good enough and that, yeah, things are fine how they are, then the mask hears that. And on one hand, it's like, wait, but I'm bullshitting all the time. Like, how is this good enough? How can I be good enough if I'm just lying to everybody? If I'm kind of fooling everybody by my mask? Then if you come to me and say me I'm good enough the way I am, then it sounds wrong. And on the other side, the mask hears, oh, cool, so we can keep the guard up. We can keep the guard up, and we don't need to change the guard. And we can just stay here and stagnate in this position of comfort and mediocrity. And then, in a way, real expression needs to be something that makes you feel vulnerable, something that makes you show emotions that you normally wouldn't show, something that would make you look bad in front of other people, and to willingly say things that would make you look bad in front of other people, to not manage the expectations that others have of you, and to just, yeah, show yourself with all your flaws and all your negative emotions. But this is very difficult to do when you still have the mask on. So in order to put the mask off, you need to first come to terms with the emotions by yourself. And the mind will try to distract yourself from these emotions by thinking and by kind of persuading you with the meaning it creates through the thoughts that it implants in your mind. And they will distract you from the actual feeling. And then the thoughts themselves are also a sort of mask. They are a distraction mechanism from the ego to not fully look at yourself. What you really are is also part of the mask. That's what's so confusing, because yes, in some meaningful way, the facade that you give to other people is what other people see, and therefore it is also part of you. So in this paradoxical way, even the facade must be accepted. Even the fact that even though you try to be fully honest with people, but you can't, is also part of your authentic self, as paradoxical as it may seem. But if you don't accept the inauthentic part of you, then you're also in denial about it. You must also accept the part of you that is inauthentic and acknowledge it and be aware about it in order to not be fooled by it. To a certain extent, you can fool other people, but you cannot fool yourself. But in most cases, you do fool other people and then eventually fool yourself. But if you are aware of the fact, all of a sudden, that you have been fooling others and have been in denial about it, and then you see it, you can look at the mask and drop it. And if it's too much to drop it in front of other people, you can first drop it when you're alone by yourself, and then see whatever it is that you're not letting yourself feel. And no matter who you are, if you're not completely free of suffering, then there's always something that you're not willing to feel. There's always something deeper that you can move towards and then focus your attention on. And then by this act of focusing the attention on what you're not willing to feel, you strengthen it. And oftentimes, it is the opposite of what you thought it was. It is oftentimes the emotion that you haven't been aware of that you're not willing to feel. It's wherever the awareness is in its blind spot that suddenly shows itself with like great insight. And you're like, oh, this was it also. I wasn't aware. And then you're actually using some deeper emotional intelligence because you're not using this heady way to rationalize it all. And you're not using your self-awareness as a shield, but you're actually being confronted with something that you didn't know and that you weren't aware of. And that a part of you kind of has to have known, right? Because the subconscious sees things even before the conscious. So a part of you does know, but your conscious didn't. And then it feels like an insight. It's the feeling of, oh, I've already known, but I've forgotten. And then you liberate the emotion. And if you have like a full awakening, then you cannot stop it anymore. Then it just pours through you and you're pretty much forced to feel it. And a lot of bad circumstances in life are just situations where we're forced to feel something that we don't want to feel. And to a certain extent, the worse you resist it, like the more you resist resistance, the worse it gets. And sometimes the circumstance isn't even that bad, but it is the resistance to it that you have accumulated over years that makes it so awful. But when then you kind of drop the resistance itself and you see that there's no way out, and sometimes the ego forces your hand, or like consciousness forces your hand, then there's no other way but to just let it all through. And when you let it all through, then slowly but surely the mask falls off and you can truly connect with other people the way you always meant to.